Yeah, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome to everybody this Tuesday, June 18th, City Council meeting. I call it now to order. We'll have a pledge of allegiance and an invocation, should he so pleases, by Councilman Smith.
Rise and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Councilman Smith. Okay, it's been moved and properly second. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Great. There will be no special presentation tonight, so now we'll move into ordinances on final read. 5A, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 6246 Dayton Boulevard, more particularly described herein from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone and R4 Special Zone to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone and R4 Special Zone.
Councilman Smith, followed by Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move approval.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Ledford. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1106 Greens Road, more particularly described herein from O1 Office Zone to C5 Neighborhood Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Ledford, followed by Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Chairman. Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Smith. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 6421 Bonnie Oaks Drive, more particularly described herein from M3 Warehouse and Wholesale Zone and R3 Residential Zone to M2 Light Industrial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Gilbert.
Chair, I'd like to add some more conditions to this. One would be after the buildings are tore down, that the remaining will be grass and bushes. The buffer to be remain in the back of the property. And the solid fence that's going around the piping would be at least 7 foot high.
Okay. So noted. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded by
As amended. I'm sorry to say that.
As amended.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, seconded by Councilman Mitchell. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Motion carries. D, please.
And
I'm sorry, hold on.
yes, sir, since those new conditions have been added here at this point in time, that'll move that to first reading. We'll need to have a second reading next week.
Okay, so noted. Thank you. Councilwoman Burrs, did you have something to say?
I'll get you.
Okay. Next one, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to lift conditions from ordinance number 12887, previous case number 2014-123, on properties located at 6803, 6807, and 6811 McCutcheon Road, more particularly described herein.
We have Councilwoman Burrs, followed by Councilman Gilbert. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. E, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 2005, 2007, and 2009 Milne Street, more particularly described herein from R1 Residential Zone to R2 Residential Zone.
Councilman Byrd.
Move to approve.
It's been moved by Councilman Byrd and properly seconded by Councilwoman Coonrod. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. F, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 800 Mall Street, more particularly described herein from R1 Residential Zone to R2 Residential Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Coonrod, followed by Councilman Byrd. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. G, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 1604 Arlington Avenue, more particularly described herein, from R1 residential zone to R2 residential zone.
Councilwoman Coonrod, followed by Councilman Byrd. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move down to ordinances on first reading. 6A, please.
An ordinance hereinafter, also known as the fiscal year 2019-2020 operations budget, providing revenue for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019, and ending June 30, 2020, appropriating same to the payment of expenses of the municipal government, fixing the rate of taxation on all taxable property in the city, and the time taxes and privileges are due, how they shall be paid, when they shall become delinquent, provided for interest and penalty on delinquent taxes and privileges, amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 2, Section 2, 267, relative to paid leave for active duty training, and to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 31, Sections 3136, 3137, 3141, and 3143, Sections 31322 and 31354.
Councilwoman Byrd. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? Let's do a roll call, Madam Clerk, starting with Councilwoman Byrd.
Burrs. Yes. Byrd. Yes. Coonrod. Yes. Gilbert.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Oglesby.
Yes.
So, yes.
Okay. Ready, Madam Clerk? We'll move on to B, please.
An ordinance appropriating, authorizing, and allocating funds to the capital improvements budget for the fiscal year 2019 through 2020.
Councilwoman Byrd, followed by Councilman Smith. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Smith. Roll call, please. Councilwoman Byrd.
Burrs. Yes. Byrd.
Yes.
Coonrod. Yes. Gilbert.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Ledford.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Oglesby.
Yes.
That's all yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll do C, please. Planning item.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property addressed to French Road, more particularly described herein, from A1 Urban Agricultural Zone and R1 Residential Zone to RTZ Residential Townhouse Zero Lot Line Zone, C2 Convenience Commercial Zone, and UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Okay, is there any opposition?
Okay, Mr. Chair, since our 3 o'clock meeting, I think we did make maybe one more change based on some questions that I had. So we do have an alternate version 3. I'm going to ask Brian if he doesn't mind to come read those into the record, just so that we're all clear on them. And then I'll be ready to vote.
Yes, these are the revised conditions after the 3 o'clock meeting for this case, 2019-45. Condition number 1, no clearing, grading, or land disturbance within the identified non-development zone in the attached illustration, with the exception that minimal disturbance in this area be permitted for passive amenities such as removal of invasive and dead species, walking paths, overnight shelters, treehouse, and viewing platforms. Condition number 2, as a minimum, when the land limit of disturbance is proposed within 25 feet of the non-development zone illustrated in the attachment, a licensed surveyor shall delineate by a high visibility fence 3 foot high for a minimum distance of 100 feet. The high visibility fencing is to be verified by the Land Development Office and shall be maintained throughout the land disturbance process. And number 3, The C2 portion of this site shall be limited in uses to only those allowed in the UGC zone, single-family housing, hotel and resort with accessory common to the use. Accessory use is common to the use. Those are the three conditions.
Okay. And this is alternate version 3.
Should be alternate version 3.
Madam applicant, are you good with these conditions? Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve alternate version 3 with conditions read into the minutes.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move on down to Public Works and Transportation, D.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 24, Division 8, Section 24507, relative to restricted on-street parking areas.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With your permission, it's your district. I would like to move approval.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell, and it's been seconded by Councilman Byrd. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion's carried. Now we'll move on to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution amending resolution number 29876 regarding the lease agreement with Dardanelle Long in substantially the form attached for the use of the barn on the Brown Acres Golf Course property for the keeping of animals as consistent with zoning, with a rental rate of $200 per month for a term of 1 year with the option to renew for 3 additional terms of 1 year each.
Councilwoman Byrd, followed by Councilman Gilbert. Been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. B, please.
A resolution setting a public hearing to establish a downtown central business improvement district pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated section 784-511-2.
Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move to defer this for 1 week. So in the form of a motion, I would like to defer for 1 week.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Mitchell. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries.
Okay.
C, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00043 for property located at 312 Tremont Street.
What's your pleasure? Applicant? Is the applicant here? Yeah. Okay. Is there opposition? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. D, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00053 for property located at 314 Old Mountain Road.
Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Is there opposition? Yes, sir. Okay, let's swap. Something to deal with this. We need a presentation.
Have your stuff. Mr. Young, go ahead.
Okay. 314 Old Mountain Road. We have, if I can get the clicker to work. Well, all right. Here you'll see the map showing the surrounding properties. We have one property at the top of the map that's identified in gold. We have tried to add the legend to the side of this map so that you can better understand the colors. The property located up at the top of the map is still, as the application is in process, and you'll see the property identified in blue as the property on Old Mountain Road. Here's an aerial view of the area, and then we have some pictures surrounding the site. If you move on forward, please. This is directly in front of the home. And then we just move around the different locations. If you'll keep moving through, you'll see the parking area there that's identified in this photo. Street view, one direction standing in front of the home, street view in the other direction. And then we get to the legend that gives us our dates here in just a second. and the application was received on April the 2nd. Opposition letters were mailed out on April the 4th. We received the notice that the sign was posted, and we went and took a picture of the sign on April the 8th. The property passed all inspections on May 31st, and here we are today. So that's all that I have. Do you all have any questions of me?
Councilman, do you have any questions at this time for Mr. Young?
No, excuse me. I'd like to hear from the
Okay.
applicant.
Okay, would the applicant please come forward at this time to the podium? Hold on one second. Mr. Attorney, you want to read, they've got
At this
7
point,
minutes.
at this point in time, as the proponent on here, you have 7 minutes to start on there, sir, and then you have 2-minute rebuttal.
Was it
You've got
five?
excuse me, 5 minutes
Okay, I couldn't
that are
remember.
complete on here, sir.
Yeah, 5 minutes, sir.
5 minutes. All right, good evening, council members. I'm Nate Rosebeard. This is my wife, Tiffany, and our property agent is Tanner Eaton back there. First off, I want to thank you for your time today and the opportunity to present our case to you. Chattanooga is a special place, and we cherish our opportunity to be a part and contribute to the city. My wife fell in love with Chattanooga 5 years ago while doing rotations as part of her medical training. Since then, it has always been a dream of hers to return to the city and have the ability to spend more time here. She brought me here a few years ago, and I too gained the same love that she felt. As an officer in the armed forces, I travel a lot. The Air Force has sent me all over the country and the world. Of all the places I've been, Chattanooga is absolutely one of my favorites. Our dream of being in Chattanooga began to become a reality when we bought our home in St. Elmo. We fell in love with this renewed historic farmhouse. We made the decision to apply for a short-term vacation rental certificate to help with the cost of the house, as well as the opportunity to share our appreciation of the city and our home with others. From our conversations with the neighbors that we spoke with, we were not expecting opposition. While trying to contact the neighbors listed on the letter, we were confused to see that the author of the letter has a return address that is 16 miles from our neighborhood. I understand that concerns do come up with potential short-term renters. It is our aim and goal to prioritize our relationships with our neighbors and their quality of life. We do not want to cause disruptions to the neighborhood or be the cause of even the slightest inconvenience to them. We understand that they cherish the area and the community and have voiced opposition because of few items that they see as potential issues. I believe we have concrete solutions to these issues and they will not arise. I attempted multiple times to discuss these issues with community members who voiced opposition, but unfortunately no one returned my phone calls. I'd like to take this opportunity to address the issues they spoke of. The first item was the opposition voiced was their concern over a potential increase of noise and safety issues due to vacationing guests. I'd like to stress that most of the potential renters we expect to have are families looking for space that's bigger than a hotel room and a place to cook a meal for the children. These guests are not unlike the community members that reside in the neighborhood, and the noise from these guests would be consistent with the levels already experienced in the area, children playing as an example. For the guests that we might potentially host that do not fall in that category, we have made several decisions to prevent issues. We have committed to refrain from installing any outdoor features for the house that might make the house more attractive for a guest, but will ultimately lead to more noise. We are not going to install picnic tables, outdoor patios, or a hot tub to ensure that quiet hours are respected outside. We see these items as areas where people might gather late at night and generate noise that could disturb our neighbors. To address safety, we have installed a Vivint security system with outdoor cameras. We have installed a noise decibel monitoring system to ensure that we are made aware of any elevated noise level before it becomes an issue for our neighbors. This system is compliant with privacy laws and simply sends an alert to our cell phone if the volume of the noise increases above an acceptable level. When guests check in, they must agree to the rules stated on the contract. One of our rules, if the certificate will be approved, is that quiet hours start at 9 p.m. Either our property agent or ourselves will be available to intercept noisy renters before it becomes an issue with the neighborhood. If any noise does arise that we are unable to deal with ourselves, our property agent, Tanner Eaton, is within 15 minutes of the house. The community members who voiced opposition cited small roads and one-way streets as a primary complaint. I'd like to point out that while most of the neighbors who signed the opposition letter live on a one-way street, we do not. Additionally, the letter states incorrectly that there is only one way into the neighborhood. There are actually 3 ways to access the neighborhood and our house, and 2 of them do not require driving by any of the addresses listed on the opposition letter. When we drive to and from the house, we never use the road spoken of by the author of the letter. We are committed to providing directions and instructions to potential renters that steer them away from the one-way road and the homes listed on the letter. For new visitors unfamiliar with the one-way roads, there are clearly marked signs communicating direction of travel, although our intent is to prevent, to the best of our ability, the use of those roads by future guests at all. The third and final concern listed on the letter is that the parking issues might arise from our potential guests. It states that more vehicles would be at our property than at other homes in the neighborhood. While it is true that families do often use short-term rental houses as a place to gather, we do not expect more vehicles at any one time than there are for any of our neighbors. In addition to this, many of the homes in the neighborhood do not have driveways or parking pads. Because of this, many of our neighbors park their vehicles on the streets. We are in a different situation because our property has its own designated gravel parking area. I've measured this area and provided the dimensions on our application for your review, and it is more than sufficient to provide space for 4 vehicles to park. This means that while we could facilitate more parking on the street, I do not ever anticipate that the street will be used for parking. To wrap up, I'd like to reiterate that our neighbors and the community of St. Elmo are a top priority for us. I am and will continue to make myself available to our neighbors to discuss any potential concerns that they might have. If this short-term vacation rental certificate is approved, we will remain engaged and ready to address any issues or concerns that may arise. I'd like to add that due to the competitive nature of the short-term vacation rental market, we absolutely must continue to keep our house and property to a very high standard of maintenance and care. This is additional incentive to preserve the historic value of the home. I hope I have provided some clarity on the issues listed on the opposition's letter and perhaps even relieved some apprehension. My wife and I have made every effort to proceed with this application in a timely and professional manner. We take our potential responsibilities very seriously and will approach this business with the same responsiveness and professionalism that we devoted to this application. Council members, thank you for your time and consideration.
You timed that just right. You must.
Speed through that a
All
little bit.
right. Before you leave, let me
Yes,
find
sir.
out, Councilman, do you or any of the council members have any questions for the applicant at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay. You have a question? All right. Hit you lot.
Thank you. Do you all live in the house currently?
No, we do not, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
All right. Okay, at this time, the opposition has 5 minutes as well. One of you can take the whole 5, or if you need other speakers, you can divide up the time. If you would, just give us your name.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Travis Hutchinson. I reside at 1 Fair Oak Place, which is a different street than the short-term vacation rental application, but in reality is extremely close. Like, I look on the edge of the property from my front porch. It's very close. And I did not receive any communication from the applicant before or after. I think that some others did, and so I'm not disputing that. The concerns that we have, if there are ever any reasons for denying a short-term vacation rental, I think that our neighborhood would apply. We have the narrowest streets in the city of Chattanooga, as we've been told by the fire department and the city sanitation. We have no sidewalks at all. We have an extremely high density of small children, and they play in the street after school and all summer long. We have very small front yards. Aware that that someone could come to the property on Old Mountain Road and leave without passing those houses. However, we're used to people, one, coming up the one-way street the wrong way, and people driven by GPS coming down Everett through the area where we have lots of kids. It just seems to be a bad idea to have people who are unfamiliar with the neighborhood constantly driving through the neighborhood when we have the situation that we have. And it's true, most of us park on the street. I have a space for 1 car, and so 2 of our cars are on the street, and that only increases the danger to kids and to others. So these are the reasons. And I would also like to mention Mr. DeMarco, who filed the opposition. He owns the property directly across the street from my house. It's a rental property, and he has managed the renters very, very well, which is important to him because the next door neighbor with 4 kids who are always in the street is his son. So these are his grandchildren, so that would be his interest in the matter. So you seem like very nice people. So if you're in our neighborhood and you move, there's nothing personal. It's a concern for our children. So thank you for listening and taking the time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any of the other opposition like to fill the rest of the 2 minutes?
My name is Anthony DeMarco, and I do own the property at 4 Fair Oak. I do live in East Brainerd, and the reason for my being here is because of my grandchildren, and I moved 6 years ago. My concern is that we have a community of families that have dedicated their lives, invested their time in this community, and it's small. There's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of room for their children to play. They know one another, and they watch out for one another. By putting in a short-term rental, to me, puts an unknown into the neighborhood. And no matter how we screen people, we see mistakes made. And a short-term rental means that we do not have somebody that's going to be there for a lengthy period of time. The people that are in the rental property I have been there now 6 years, whereas a short-term rental is weeks. And so there is a concern as to what will go on and the problems that could happen with the kids. I think these are people that have invested their time to make this community safe. They have invested their time to have a good relationship with one another. And they live and they work in this city, and they vote in this city. And I think you have to take into account that they're part of the city, and we have somebody that's living outside of the city. I thank you for your presentation, but I do have concerns. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Hit you like.
Okay. How long have you owned the house that you're renting out now?
6 years.
Okay,
So this is the original tenant that started out in the home.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilman? You have the floor.
One more question, please. I want you to show me that map of the area. Yeah.
If you can pull the map back up on our presentation, please.
And in your inspections, everything is up to code?
Yes, sir.
And the parking situation, refresh me on that again.
He has the required parking off-street on his property. He has availability to park 2 cars. And on his application, he has listed that, I have the application right here.
You said 2 cars on the property?
Mhm. Let me get up to the number of bedrooms that he has on this application. Has a maximum of 5 people in the home, 2 bedrooms are available, and according to the dimensions, he can park 3 cars in that parking area.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I am very familiar with that street, obviously, it's in my area. And I appreciate everything that y'all have, the provisions y'all have made to have a quality product over there. I also appreciate where you're coming from, but with that being said, I see no reason but to approve their application. So I move to approve.
We have a motion on the floor to approve. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion. It's been properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This time I'll turn the chair back over to Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Madam Clerk, we will go to E, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00063 for property located at 410 Ziegler Street.
Councilman Henderson. Oh, hit it again, I'm sorry. Okay, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition?
Mr. Young, would you come up? I would like to see a map of the area.
We do have a copy of the map on our presentation. And I do have our interactive map pulled up if you have any further questions about any of the locations.
Where, property, okay. So this is right next door, basically, to one non-owner occupied that's already been issued.
Yeah, on this, in this development, this was a development that has, actually, it consists of 3 parcels. There are 2 buildings on each parcel, and there are 2 dwellings in each building. So for the whole development, where it accesses off of Ziegler, we actually have 12 residents there. In the building directly next door to this, we have a non-owner occupied issued at 416 Ziegler Street. And this one will be in the building that has 410 and 412 Ziegler, excuse me.
Okay. So does it actually front Harper, but some reason has a Ziegler Street?
They addressed, GIS addressed it off of Ziegler because that's where the access into the
Access,
property, yes.
okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Could I have the applicant? Go ahead. Give her the 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Can we have the 5 minutes?
Okay. The only, I was just going to address the issues that the person who opposed it had. One of them, I have a letter here. They said noise, excess noise might be an issue, but again, we also are going to put a noise ordinance in, no noise after 10. It's a very quiet neighborhood. I've actually stayed there myself, and it is very quiet. Number 2, they addressed the issue of people coming in and out, and strangers, they wouldn't know who they are, but if we'd stayed there personally, we would still have friends and family coming in and out. And pretty much nowhere I've lived, I've had to distribute an attendees list to my neighbors. So, what else? Oh, an Airbnb, that's what we were going to use it for. It does require verification for every person who rents that out, including a photo ID. And they even do background checks with all the information. So, and number 3, we are going to allow small dogs in there. And one of the concerns that the opposition had was pets not being picked up after, but we're actually going to put, I'm not really sure what it's called, but a stand with trash bags so they can actually go and clean up after their dogs. They don't even need to bring anything, just clean up and throw it away. Also, I was going to address that this is in North Chattanooga, and there are no hotels in North Chattanooga. So if people want to stay there, which is a huge tourist destination for Chattanooga, they would have to stay in an Airbnb. So that's all I had. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
It's my understanding there was no opposition present in the audience, correct?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I've got a couple of concerns. Do you live in the city?
Yes, I live in East Brainerd.
Okay, so are you going to be the one that's monitoring?
Yes, me and my husband.
Okay. So I would like to or place a condition on this that you actually install the noise decibel monitoring system
Okay.
so that you would be alerted in the event that there was noise,
We can do
emanating
that.
from this building. You have any problem with that?
Nope.
Okay. So I guess to begin with, Mr. Attorney, I've got to make the motion to approve and then make the amendment to
Yes, sir.
put a noise monitor. So I make a motion to approve. All right. At this time, I'd like to make an amendment to that a noise decibel monitoring system would be installed before occupancy.
It's been moved and properly seconded on the
Okay.
amendment. Okay.
Now I'd like to move as amended.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we got to vote on the amendment.
All in favor, the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Okay.
All right. Now I'd
Now-
like to move as amended.
Okay. Move. Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposes nay.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, F, please, Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00068 for property located at 412 Tremont Street.
What's your pleasure? Is the applicant present? Is there opposition? It's been moved and properly seconded. Questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Move on to finance G.
A resolution adopting a 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2020 through 2024, subject to future revisions, a copy of which is attached here to and made a part hereof by reference.
Councilwoman Burrs. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Smith. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. H, please.
A resolution expressing the intent of the city of Chattanooga to issue bonds in the aggregate amount not to exceed $11 million of the city of Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the purpose of paying all or a portion of the cost of the following: city facilities, capital improvements, and/or campus consolidation, ASIP, Ferdinand Peachway modifications, Greenway Farm Conference Center replacement, 3rd, 4th Street, Airport area road improvements, Alton Park Riverwalk connector, Area 3 Commercial District streetscapes improvements, Central Avenue, Patton Parkway sidewalks, Somerville connector, Trans STSC sidewalk, Riverwalk extension, Woodmore SRTS, bridge management and maintenance, Elder Mountain Road, slope stabilization, roadway improvements, and Wilcox Boulevard tunnel.
Councilwoman Burrs, followed by Councilman Gilbert.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Aye, please.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's reappointments of Pam Shelley and Velma Hickson to the Chattanooga Hamilton County Hospital Authority Financial Review Committee.
Councilwoman Burrs. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilwoman Coonrod. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Public Works, J.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 2 for CH2M Engineers, Inc. relative to contract number W15002-101, Friars Branch South, Chickamauga Creek 5 Interceptor Rehabilitation for additional professional services in the amount of $72,610 for revised contract amount of $997,690.
We have Councilman Gilbert, followed by Councilwoman Burrs.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. K, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works, Division of Waste Resources to pay a city claim for property damage which occurred on April 9, 2019 at or near 6754 Dupree Road, Chattanooga, Tennessee, to Disaster Master in the amount of $55,185, and to Dustin Jones, homeowner, in the amount of $14,373 for a total amount of $69,558.
Councilwoman Burrs. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposes nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to purchases.
Good evening. We have 7 purchases for your consideration tonight, the first 5 being on behalf of the Public Works Department. First, we have the renewal of the blanket contract for manhole components to be awarded to Atchison Foundry and Machine Works Company in a total estimated annual amount of $110,000. Next, we have the renewal of the blanket contract for portable toilet services to be awarded to American Router and Portables, LLC, in a total estimated annual amount of $50,000, Third, the renewal of the blanket contract for custodial services at the Riverwalk Extension to be awarded to Jana King of Chattanooga in a total estimated annual amount of $45,000. Next, the renewal of the blanket contract for bulk fuel to be awarded to Jet Oil and Supply, Inc. in a total estimated annual amount of $1 million. And next, a new blanket contract for grounds maintenance for city right-of-ways to be awarded to Sykes Services LLC, DBA City Green Services, in an estimated annual amount of $40,000. Next, on behalf of the Economic and Community Development Department, we have first the the Public Art Collection Assessment and Conservation Plan to be awarded to Eva Sander Conwell in the amount of $30,200. And finally, the purchase of a special event stage trailer to be awarded to RPM Trailer Sales in the amount of $35,580.
Council, what is your pleasure? It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilwoman Coonrod. Any questions? All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to other business. First, we'll look at the reports on debt obligation. You got a question, Council? Something in a few minutes, okay. Okay, how do we do it? Thank you, Ms. Daisy.
Thank you, Council. You have before you a listing and copies of a state report on debt entitled, number C20253. And these are reports that have been filed with the state, and we are required by state law to file with this legislative body, basically to inform you of the issuance of the debt and the cost and purpose of the debt. These debt has already been issued ranging from 1998 to 2018. So they've already happened. So this is an administrative process that the state is having to do to clean up to make sure that they have these forms on file for all of the entities within the state.
Councilman Gilbert.
Yeah.
Sorry. Councilman Gilbert.
something.
Okay. Councilman Mitchell.
Oh, this has nothing to do with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Am I batting 1,000? Councilman Burge. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
She did the fine job. I just called her name. All right, thank you. Is there any other business the council would like to share? Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, it's coming Saturday at Brainerd United Methodist Church from 10 to 12. Empowerment, and what that is that they provide opportunity if you have a electric bill or some kind of utility, they'll work with you. So far, it's been a great opportunity for people to come. I think it's very successful in other districts and hopefully be successful in District 5 this coming Saturday. So come out. If you know anybody that needs help, please come out.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to one of my partners up here. Every summer, youth work crews come to town, and Councilman Henderson has been an instrumental part of this every year that I've known him. And I just wanted to, and if he would like to say anything, that would be great, but I just wanted to say thank you to him.
Okay. Exactly. Go ahead. Well, y'all gonna have to chime in again so we can give him his 2 seconds of fame.
Thank you, Councilman, and I want to thank Donna Williams and her staff for partnering in this. It's really a team effort. I want to thank Mr. Harris for getting the word out, getting applications to those folks over in East Chattanooga that we're going over and refurbishing home. We have 309 volunteers that came to Chattanooga this week, as far away as Minnesota, Texas, Kansas, Ohio, Wisconsin. And it's really humbling to see all of these kids, they're teenagers, they're high schoolers, coming and participating in Chattanooga. They're not just touching houses, they're touching lives. And I really would like to issue sort of a challenge to our youth pastors out there and our pastors to get our young people, our youth, involved in programs like this. It teaches you that life's not all about you. It's about giving to others. It's about helping others, and it's just a remarkable program. Like thank Councilman Byrd. He rode around with us Monday and got to see some of the work going on. We're building wheelchair ramps. We're doing deck repairs, step repairs, painting interior and exterior of the houses. And look, there's nothing that makes an impact on people's lives more than fixing and repairing their home. And these are all elderly, low income, they're veterans. It makes such a huge difference in their life, and it's all done with volunteer labor. The grant, the money's coming from First Tennessee, the grant that we got from First Tennessee. So it's just a partnership and a team effort. So thank you.
Yeah, colleagues, I think we owe him an applause for that. Sure. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. I know it's somewhat of late notice, but I was sent an email to ask this body if you are available tomorrow, June the 19th at 2019. It's the 20th anniversary of the HELP program. This is a reflection of the green trucks that you see out on the side of the road, assisting our people that are driving through and through this, through the city of Chattanooga. So they're having an anniversary tomorrow, and they asked me to see if we can make it. If you can, please come. It's going to be at the Volkswagen 7512 Volkswagen Drive, and it starts at 11 a.m. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. If anybody is available on Saturday, June the 22nd, Menlo Park Neighborhood Association will be having a community cleanup. They're asking for volunteers. This is a community that's basically just seniors, and they're asking for assistance. If you can come, help pick up trash, remove brush, cut a yard or two, trim up some trees, help plant some flowers, anything that you can offer services to do. And you can bring the youth out. I hear often in our communities where our kids absolutely have nothing to do, we'll bring them out on Saturday from 10 until 1. We'll have gloves for them, trash bags, whatever it is, the opportunity to help make a difference in the community of Menlo Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gilbert.
Just want to say I'll echo what Councilman Jerry Mitchell said. I want people to know that this district is not his, that he's working in. Majority of the people's coming out is not in his district at all. He thinks enough of the people in other districts to do what he does, and he does it humbly. He don't brag on it. He don't say get no kudos for it. He just do it. So I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Stand up and take a bow. No. Okay. Councilman Byrd.
Yes, thank you. I didn't almost forget, but had to say, June to the 25th at 5:15, that's next Tuesday, I have the honor and the privilege with this body of rededicating this building to John P. Franklin Sr. I don't know if you've seen the top of the building where now the wording and the monument is covered up, but we're going to have the opportunity to dedicate this building to him in his honor and his name, his legacy, his dash for the years that he served to our community. So if you all can make it, I would greatly appreciate it if you can be here, and that will be the 25th, next Tuesday at 5:15. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Byrd. Is there any other business the council would like to share? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. Councilwoman Byrd.
It's not on. Now it's on. Thank you. Yes, after a number of weeks of study and education and working hard, we've come up with the operational and the capital budget. We had the first reading tonight. So thanks to my colleagues for all their hard work, their study, and support during the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. You did a phenomenal job. The flow was really good. You controlled the whole situation. You made sure we was well informed to make the decisions that we're making regarding this budget. And I just want to thank you for your efforts. Yeah. Now, if you can stand up and take a bow. Okay, perfect. That's what I had in mind. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. Today at 3 o'clock, we had a wonderful presentation concerning the bid, and we also got another presentation about extending the map of the STVR. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilman Gilbert. Councilman Henderson. Councilman Ledford. Councilman Mitchell.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. We will have a Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting next Tuesday following the agenda session.
Excellent. Councilman Smith. Did you have something else you wanted to say, Councilman Byrd? Your light? Okay.
Is it off now?
It's off now?
I got another text here. We have a charity ball coming up for the Chattanooga Kidney Foundation. It's going to be August the 3rd at the Walden. So if you all can make it there, August the 3rd at the Walden, it's a great program that's going to benefit a great cause, and that's the Chattanooga Kidney Foundation. And a young lady named Doll Sandridge is putting that on, and I think it'll be something great if you guys can make it. And that would be August the 3rd at the Walden. Thank you.
Thank you again. Now we come to the time for recognitions of person wishing to address the council on non-agenda matters. Mr. Attorney, please read the rules.
Yes, sir. There are 6 rules. At the end of each council business meeting, the chair can recognize folks of the public that wish to address the council if these rules apply. Each speaker wishing to address the council can only be recognized at the microphone. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak. You can address the council only upon matters within their legislative or quasi-judicial authority. Can't use vulgar, obscene language or use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others, and please address your comments to the council as a whole. The chair will not recognize any person, neighborhood, or organization to speak to the council during non-agenda matters portion more than twice in any 30-day time period, and you can only do so once during a council day, either at the agenda session or at a committee meeting or at the council business meeting. Those are the rules.
And those falling into, at least the one person falling into that 30-day time limit is Marie Mott. So, sorry, Ms. Mott, really. Is there anybody who would like to speak before the council? Please come forward, state your name and where you live.
Thank you. I come here today to speak on the Business Improvement District. I want to state firstly that my family has a small business in this proposed district.
I'm sorry, ma'am, would you please state your name and where you're from?
Oh, sorry, my name is Blake, and I'm from here.
Okay.
I was about to say, I am from Chattanooga. I'm a citizen here. I live in the downtown area, and I'm often hanging out downtown as well as working downtown. I share this because it's important to relay self-interest when supporting, or in my case, opposing legislation. This is a concept that I wish was shared by city council members and the mayor before it was decided to try to shove this ordinance down our throat. I know I've heard time and time again that this tax is only placed on landowners in this district, and that as normal, everyday Chattanooga citizens aren't allowed to share our feelings on an important decision regarding a major part of the downtown area due to special Tennessee legislation that excludes our voices. Tennessee legislation, by the way, that also states that after the ordinance failed to pass, needed a waiting period of a year to be reintroduced or to have the district change. Yet somehow that was ignored. I've been told that to frame this tax as a tax on the citizens of downtown and small business owners in this district is misinformation. Well, to Andy Burke and Oglesby, who sit on the board of River City, the private company that would manage this tax, and to those who defend this ordinance and talks of misinformation, I say that you are the ones spreading misinformation. Anyone in their right minds knows that these taxes will be passed down to the tenants. There are clauses in leases that say just that. Those landowners who opposed this ordinance consisted of those with empty property. Why? Because they couldn't pass that tax down to their tenants. All this to say, if you want more flowers downtown, less litter, and more security, go through the proper channels. A private company, I'm not done yet. A private company, no matter how great it may be, does not belong as the oversight mechanism and collector of taxes on citizens in an area all Chattanoogans enjoy and may even dream of opening up a business of their own in. You say landowners support this tax. Around 188 landowners exist in that area, not all of who support this ordinance. Well, I have 187 Chattanoogans who signed a petition that state they do not support the Business Improvement District or any taxation without representation. In this effort to pass this ordinance, I feel you have been unethical. You have violated the many basic foundations of our government. I don't care what flawed Tennessee legislation you are using. You should know that downtown landowners aren't the only people who matter in this city. Many of those landowners aren't in support of this.
Thank you, ma'am. Your 3 minutes is up.
All right, well, just don't toy with people's livelihoods here.
Who else would like to speak? Go ahead, please, sir.
Ronnie Ray, 613 Pan Gap Road, Lookout Valley. 2 points I want to make here. I wanted to, while I'm up here, take advantage of this and encourage my fellow citizens to reach out to your county commissioners and encourage them to follow suit of the city council and the city of Chattanooga to urge them to vote no on a tax increase for the county. The other topic I have, I'm speaking on behalf of my mother and several of her neighbors where she used to live. We support this resolution as a matter of rule. This is on the urban ag amendment that's coming up. Any opposition we might have would be to offer more definitive language of the grandfathering in. We have an ongoing situation that began in February 2017. A horse, cows, alpacas, chickens, ducks, and rabbits were brought to R1 property that consists of approximately 10.5 acres on one side of railroad tracks and 7 acres on the other side of the tracks. That 7 acres could not be used for grazing. RPA was working on an ordinance to change the required 20 acres to 5 acres and rezone the property from R1 to A1 urban agricultural zone, which could give property owners the opportunity to utilize their property as a small farm. Late in May 2017, application was made to rezone that property from R1 to A1 urban agricultural zone. A hearing was set for July 2017. Letters, emails, and phone calls were made to enforcement. The July hearing was then changed to October 2017. I spoke for my mother and her neighbors on the other side, both R1 properties, at the October meeting. Hearing. Both ladies were there. I spoke of the nuisance, noise, odor, and hay stacked on the front porch of the property owners. After a brief discussion with the RPA panel, it was decided to give the property owners until November 2017 to come up with a site plan. Ordinance 13227 to change the acreage was in progress and passed on the first reading on October 3rd. It was passed on the second hearing October 10. One day after the October 9 hearing at the county courthouse on November 14th, the applicant for case did not have a site plan and was given until November 28th to prepare a site plan. The site plan that was approved would have eliminated the current situation we did not oppose when it came before the city council in November, and it could have avoided the ongoing situation if the property owners would have complied with the ordinance to begin with. Meanwhile, we have been in court since the first citation of violation was issued in February. The applicant applied to the appeals board for a variance. They were denied the variance at the August hearing. Incorrect information. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Somebody leave their phone up here? I was over my time.
Who else would like to speak? We are adjourned. Scared the crap out of me. Yeah. Yes, he did, very quick.